Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays.
Rebel soul child got a fist ball. I'm a respawn of ancestors and I'm blessed, They are not him, tell him fess up. I get check stub, hella carefree, nothing scares me, hella reckless. Yeah, I got next up, right? No, we not the same, cause see when I look in your iris, you likely to talk but not ready to ride. You do better keeping it quiet. My pen is ignited, my soul is enlightened. I like who I am, but I'm biased. The palette is right, and my drip is a fountain. I'm not like these regular guys. All of that talk is misguided. She like the way I make the tape print, but the way I make the words play is grim. I'm the reaper reaching for the kill switch. The label cut the check like the bladesman. Something sparking where his brain is. The beat is somewhere where their prayers in. Geronimo, the way I make the bass jump when no parachute is tasted.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Throwing Hands. Here are my co-hosts. He's a little froze right this moment, but here are my co-host Josh. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing pretty good stuff.
Man, I'm doing good. I heard over the weekend we were victorious finally.
Yes. Finally did that damn weight cut. Took me almost 3 months to get that down.
Hey, but you freaking did it. That's all that fucking matters, you know. Did you do your Rocky celebration afterwards? Did you run up a 13 flights of stairs or anything?
No, but I ran up a stack of pancakes though.
Said fuck the stairs. We're going for some fucking pancakes.
Exactly.
You
Dude.
know how long it's been since I ate some fucking pancakes with some syrup and shit?
Right, dude. It was, I won't lie, the last, I say 2-3 weeks was tough because it was, I didn't hit it the first time back at rough 49 or rough 50, and mentally I'm probably already still ready to go finish the weight cut, but my body's already like, you know what, we're gonna go and rehydrate, we're gonna gain that weight back. So I had to go through that. But that last week, man, I did a 2-gallon, a 2.5-gallon, and a 3-gallon load from Sunday through Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I cut it down to like half a gallon. And Thursday is, I think, around like 1. Yeah, it was around like 1 o'clock is when I went ahead and just cut off all eating. And I was just sipping water. And I was going to the gym like 3-4 hours a fucking day.
Now, are you gonna continue the gym part, or is that like you cutting that shit out too?
Oh no, I'm still gonna do the gym part. I'm taking a break this week because last week, I won't lie, last week was pretty brutal on those last couple days. So I'm gonna enjoy resting, and then I'm gonna restart the whole thing. But dude, I could say now 100% confidence that it is tough doing that weight cut and what fighters go through. Because was it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday on the last day of the water load, I peaked at 176 pounds or 175.8. And then by Friday morning, I'd gotten down to 155.6. So in the span of about 2-3 days, I dropped off 20 pounds.
Yeah, no, that's a lot, man. That's a lot. Again, I commend you. We've talked through this whole thing. So let's say this. Now, we know, or we knew how hard it was for fighters to make that weight cut. Now you physically and mentally know how difficult it is to do it. So my question to you now, especially, you know, me and you talk about it a lot, especially on the show, about how, and we talked about it with CJ about how minute the difference between a pro and an amateur lineup is now. So how much do you commend, or how much do you like give these guys, these amateurs out here that are, especially the ones that are fighting 3 and 4 times a year? How much are you giving it to them? How hard is it to keep a full-time job? Don't add kids to it. Don't, you know what I mean? Don't add a love life. And then make these weight cuts and 3-4 times a year.
Yeah. I give, especially the amateurs, I give tremendous props to because of that exact reason. Because the entire time of me going through this process, I'm constantly working. And then this last month, I'm working 49-hour weeks. So I'm doing overtime. And in the setting that I work in, I'm sitting there just testing boards. And the entire time I'm doing the wake up, not eating. So I'm literally sitting there starving, just dying for a drink. And the fact that these fighters, they go through a full-time job on top of just everything else that they have to go through, because just the minorest or subtlest of hiccups that come up can screw up the weight cut. Like, that was the first thing I especially figured out. Like, the last meal that I had before I started the fast was a unwich from Jimmy John's. Basically, it was a sandwich, but it was just wrapped in lettuce, and I literally had everything counted to the T, and even just a little bit of it got fucked up, and it bumped up my calories more, which I had to do even more work in the gym, because not only doing full time, but also spending 3-4 hours in the gym. Like, I'd be at the gym 11:30 at night doing 10 to 15 miles on the bike, and then also sitting in the sauna for like 30 minutes. Like, I won't even lie, Thursday night when I finally hit like 155.8, if I could tell if I was minutes away from probably getting ready to pass out, because I was just so exhausted from the heat. So just doing everything, and then on top of the workouts and trying to do the weight cut, I give major props to these amateurs because they're not even getting really paid for it.
No, no, they're having to, and that's one of the biggest things about it is, they're having to live their life, so to speak, and then have a second life as a fighter afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know what I mean? They're having to go to work, fulfill that day, fulfill whatever it is they do, get off of work, check out, and check into a totally different mindset. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I say that loosely because, like you've pointed out, a lot of times you have to maintain that mindset on it all day in order to achieve that goal, in order to get that water intake, in order to, make sure you hit those calorie markers. Or on the flip side, kind of like what you just described, where you're dying, you're at work dying, and your brain is somewhere else. Your brain's thinking about
Mm-hmm.
have it your way, Burger King, and you gotta inspect boards, like you were saying. So it's difficult in so many different facets. I mean, in no way, shape, or form are we not saying it's difficult as a pro fighter, of
Mm-hmm.
course, but in so many different facets and forms, and how difficult it is to be an amateur, and compete at a high level on a regular basis, and still, deal with your everyday life as well.
Mm-hmm. And another thing I picked up throughout it too is that another factor that I feel like these amateurs go through is the difference between the supporters and the doubters. Because just as I came across as many people that were very supportive of this, I also came through a lot of doubters that were just like, dude, just eat. Did you don't go through this weight cut. They would just be like, you're like, why are you doing it? Don't even bother. Why put yourself through this if it's not for any gain? And that especially was a big motivator for me, because now I especially want to prove them wrong, in which I did so. But that's another challenge I feel they face, is just having to go through not only the supporters but the doubters.
Yeah, the friend that's like, "Hey, man, I'm about to eat this pepperoni pizza. You should eat some too."
Hmm.
Knowing darn well you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
um, so you know that leads up to my question is how important, and me and you've seen, the last three cards, there was at least one um, failed wake cut with
Hmm.
rough, just focusing on rough and the amateurs and all that good stuff.
Right.
But the last three cards, we've seen at least one, a minimum of one.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know about you, but when I've spoken to a lot of those guys, Not dropping any names or anything, but when I've spoken to a lot of guys, how much of it is mental? How much of it is just being focused, being in tune to what you're doing and where you're headed?
Like 90% of it, straight up. Like the last 3 weeks when I just joined Anytime Fitness, and just immediately, without even warming up to it, I just started forcing myself to go 5, then 10, then 15 miles. And I even peaked at 20 miles at one point. And it's not fast. It's taking me 40, 50 minutes of just nonstop going to be able to even get up to 10 miles to 15 miles, and then constantly changing the intervals and just having that patience to sit there, because it's very easy, I immediately found out, to just get lost in that doubt. But when my mental approach, especially like the last grind of it, when I'm just constantly going on the treadmill or on the bike, jump rope, sitting in the sauna, especially on the bike, like I'll tuck my head down. I'll be like, my legs are tired. I feel like my legs are tired. I'm still breathing just fine. I still feel like I'm here. I could do more. I'm not tired. I know my legs are tired. They don't control me. I'm in control of it. And I
Right.
go into like I would like screaming in my head, like, I'll be relentless. It will not. And it as in like that doubt, that urge to give up. And I just say that I'm gonna win, it will lose. I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna give up. And I just keep on telling myself that over and over again.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a lot, man. And speaking of mental, it's a great segue into this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
UFC 281. My goodness. Did and we talked about this tonight. My nephew had to make his cameo
Yeah, there
appearance.
we go. He made his first appearance.
Right, right. How much of a stronghold did Alex have on Adesanya, man? I think, watching that fight, um, I don't think that people measure the mental um effects of those two first losses
Yeah.
had on Adi. And going into that last round, you can kind of sense it. It was almost as if his whole game plan kind of changed. Yeah, he was still throwing punches. Yeah, but it felt like watching it, he was waiting for it. He was waiting for
Yeah.
that big, offensive push from Alex. And it wasn't necessarily an offensive push. It was just a freaking hell of a kick. Really.
Hmm. Yeah. And it was, what I thought was unique is that I still want to find out how true it is, but apparently that last kick where Izzy threw and he ended up doing like a little tumble in the back, it had done something with his perennial, or when he had blocked the kick, it had hurt his perennial, and that's why he said that he was ended up being flat-footed and kind of unable to be as agile. But I did
Right.
kind of sense that because the whole buildup was circular or solely focused on the previous knockout. And I know it's a mental game. He's probably maybe in between rounds 4 and 5, just thinking as like, shit, I got 5 more minutes. That's 5 more minutes left for that chance to happen and to have the belt taken away. So I don't know if maybe that did start to weigh on him, but he's handling the loss very well. 100% props to him for how he's handling the loss.
He's definitely a class act. We've always known that.
Hmm.
His saying is keep that same energy. He's always said that.
Yep.
Don't go into the fight talking that shit and then come out the fight, beat up and whining like a little puppy. So
Hmm.
I respect that 100%. He got up there still looking fashionable as ever with the Adi style that he always brings. And
That
he
big
took
ass
his
fur coat.
right, and he took that L on the chin, man. He took that ass whooping on the chin, and one thing's for sure. Um, Me and you talked about this a week or two ago. As a UFC fan, we're in store for something beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Um, we just signed up for possibly a trilogy. Um, depending on how the next fight or two go, we might see 4 come in this. Um,
Yeah.
because I think fans are invested. Um, you know, Izzy and Alex, they're invested in the rivalry, and
Hmm.
that's always good. To have the two men invested in the rivalry more than the actual promotion itself.
Oh yeah.
Um, and that's one thing that I definitely see here is regardless of how Alex feels about the situation, Izzy's fucking pissed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and he even said too on Twitter that there is going to be a trilogy in the UFC. One fight to get revenge, and then the other one is to establish that he's the better fighter. Because their whole story goes across two different sports, technically, from kickboxing to UFC or to MMA, and now you're seeing all the memes and everything that's circulating around where he goes into golfing, Alex goes into golfing, and it's just that constant that constant play, and social media is going to charge it too, because that Izzy's going to bounce off of it, and he is, like you said, he's pissed. I want to see the same kind of Izzy that fought Robert Whittaker the first time, the same kind of Izzy that fought Kevin Gastelum, especially, where he's just ready for a fucking war, where he is, like he said, he's ready to die in that cage, because he wasn't in those fights in particular, he wasn't afraid necessarily to take those shots or to take those big risks. And he took those risks, and it was fucking fabulous. He
What's
was
up,
looking like
Damien? We missed you, man. Jerome
what's
from
up, man?
Martin. He did kind of look like Jerome. He did kind of look like Jerome. He just needed a
Yeah.
badge. Um, and that's the thing too, Josh, is I haven't seen Izzy ever timid. And I don't think he was really he wasn't timid in the
Oh,
first 4 rounds.
yeah.
But coming out in that 5th round, even just them coming from the cage into the middle, that just initially, he just looked a little off. Maybe it was the perennial injury, maybe
Hmm.
something of that nature. But I feel as if once we got to that final round, like you were kind of saying, maybe in between the 4th and 5th round, he was saying to himself, "I just got 5 more minutes. I just got 5 more minutes. Don't get knocked out." Or maybe his corner said, "Hey, you know, don't let no big hit happen." Or you know,
Hmm.
and that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like because he wasn't really attacking the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I know he did. I saw earlier today he did mention that he has some previous injuries that he isn't going to disclose, as far as I know. So, but
Staph
we got to
infection,
find out
what
more
I've
details.
seen.
I want more details on that, especially. But I mean, otherwise, yeah, it's going into that fifth round, because you already know like how social media is going with their. It's almost like they're itching for Izzy to get knocked out, to get taken down, and to get beaten by Alex. And same thing with like Mar Usman and Leon Edwards and all the memes that happened after that. It was almost like he also had to deal with that pressure of going through that and just having to deal with people posting all this shit about him, and like the faces that they did of the three kings between um brain fart Usman, Izzy, and Francis Ngannou. They
Yep.
replaced Leon. They replaced two faces. Now they're waiting for Francis Ngannou to lose to Jones, so that way they could replace that face as well. So I feel like you're also dealing with that going into this fight against Alex.
Well, and that's one thing too. I will say, you know, say it like this. I hate it here. And what I mean by that is whenever we get someone great, and I myself have been included in this category too with Conor McGregor. Whenever we get somebody great, we just tend to just start hating.
Hmm.
Just as they win more, we just start hating. I mean, I think that towards the end of Anderson Silva's career, people were just waiting for him to take a loss. People were praying for Anderson to take a loss towards the end of his career.
Hmm.
And I just think, that's what we're seeing with Izzy. We saw it with Usman. We saw it with Connor. and we saw with John, as there's you reach a certain point where they just want you to fall.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Like I won't lie about it too. I kind of feel that same way with like John Jones. I'm waiting for him to lose, even though he's hands down the most dominant fighter there is. You want to say I want to see Usman fight Izzy, but I know ain't gonna happen because Usman is scared. Now, see that fight, I know Izzy, he actually kind of spoke out against that because he was all like, no, I'm not even going to question money isn't even an option. Versus Usman, who was like, I mean, it depends on the money. It depends.
I
No.
mean, Uzman will fight anybody with the money,
Yeah.
right? I think uh, Izzy's more. Izzy thinks about his legacy more. I think than Usman.
Hmm.
I think Usman's there to just fucking fight, and Izzy is there to end up as the best. I don't know how else to put it. And I think Izzy kind of. I'm not gonna say he picks his fights, but he's very smart. He
Hmm.
knows what he's doing in there, and him accepting this Alex fight was 100%. I want to fucking put the end to it. He didn't have to accept that
Yeah.
Alex fight. He did not have to accept it. What is Alex four? Is he 4 fights into the UFC?
Only three. That was only his third fight. That's
Yeah,
the crazy thing too.
he didn't have
It's
to accept
he, yeah. He didn't have to take any risk. He could have just let Alex sit in line and go through a bunch of other guys first. But no, Izzy, he wants that risk because he wants that legacy. Like a pretty unique thing I just learned about in psychology is that there's certain people, they have achievement motivation. And those are individuals that are willing to take greater risks for the greater rewards. And it's those specific individuals that have that fire inside of them. And so, like with Izzy, he is one of those individuals where he is going to take the biggest risks there are to achieve that greatness, regardless of what the circumstances are. And the fact that he's always dealt with social media and just dealt with the knockout Alex has over him for so long, that too, he
it. Yeah,
wants to take the risk to write that in his story.
he doesn't like that at all.
Hmm. And now
Um,
he's pissed.
you know, I don't know if you saw the pre-fight press conference photos, but Izzy had that blotch, scabbish area on his leg.
Hmm.
So a lot of people were saying he had a staph infection during camp. Um, and the big thing about that is, all right, if you do have a staph infection, you're probably taking some antibiotics to fight that off.
Hmm.
And you know, not trying to lay an excuse out there for Izzy. He lost. He took his L like a man, but antibiotics do a lot of things to the body. They zap your energy. Um, they just change the way that you're able to handle yourself, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, so going into the fight, I know that was one thing that was said is, how if it is a staph infection, how will he serve, you know, having those antibiotics in his system? Which I didn't see any low levels of energy from him. And honestly, I don't think I've seen anything that I could directly say as a result of the antibiotics.
Hmm.
Well, how do you feel about that?
I'm not really sure. I know it was just announced today that he's received a double medical suspension. So that intrigues me more because that's just me finding out about that whole situation with the staph infection potentially. And yeah, your body's having to fight something off in order to overcome it. So you're just the functions of your body trying to go from being just a normal stasis and then transferring to trying to fight off this infection, it's gonna have different effects on your body. So it can hinder performance. And I mean, but based off what I've seen during that fight with Izzy, like you said, didn't really see any drops in energy level. He still seemed pretty there. It was just that fifth round that it's almost he became more timid.
Yeah, it says the New York. Um, hold on, let me go back. New York State Athletic Commission has suspended him indefinitely.
Oh,
He has also been given a mandatory rest period of 60 days. Um, Adesanya said, "It was my third fight in 10 months as a champion, putting it on the line every single time. I'm going to really enjoy myself and just chill. I'll travel maybe and help my teammates out as well." Adesanya's,
yeah.
wow.
And he's been a very active fighter. I'd say he's probably been the most active champion in the past couple years.
You think so? I mean, shit.
Well, he because he fought Robert Whitaker, then he went on to fight Marvin Tory. I think he fought him two more times.
Mm.
No, he just fought him one more
Oh,
time.
one more.
Another again with Whitaker, then Costa, then he did go Romero, and then he fought Jan Blachowicz, Jared Cannonier. So I mean he's been pretty active compared to a lot of other champions. I know Francis, he was out for a minute.
Right, because he had that contract dispute.
Yeah. And then I know he also had that surgery too. And I know especially or I could say a little bit based off the weight cut that if he's going that many fights throughout like even just 1 or 2 years, that constant training, the constant intensity on the body, it could wear over time. Like during my weight cut, I was having a lot of moments with my left knee where it was hurting. Like I just walked to the gas station and back and I feel my left knee buckle a little bit, or like like shin splints where you get those pains in your shins and just having to try to work through it regardless.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, you got to think, especially you mentioned a guy like Francis. You talk to guys like Josh. You talk guys like even Izzy walks around bigger than what we're looking at. And if you're talking
Mhm.
about a guy that walks down 20, 30 pounds bigger, heavier than what he fights at, you know, that 3, 4 times a year, that's a lot. You're right. You're talking about 3 weeks. Um, you know, that's almost four
Mhm.
months a year. You're cutting weight. 3 months, at
Yeah.
least 3 months a year, you're cutting weight. So coming off any type of surgeries, having any injuries, dealing with, a simple cold could really really destroy things for you, really turn things out. So it does go a long way.
Yeah.
No,
N-
but taking a look, let's run through some of these other things that happened.
On 281.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up here.
Yeah. I know first off I'm gonna have to say rip Dominic Reyes. Rip Dominic Reyes. It's I'm so heartbroken for him, though he hasn't been the same since his loss against Jan Blachowicz.
No, no, he hasn't. Um, yeah, you're definitely right about that. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll go and just look at this. So let's see here. So the biggest thing, or just to actually jump right into it with Ryan Spann and Dominic Reyes, going from Dominic Reyes' last fight against Yuri, that was a brutal ass spinning elbow that knocked him out. And then the way he got taken out by Jan Blachowicz, I just, Dominic Reyes, I don't know. He's just not the same anymore. I feel like he almost got kind of complacent after his fight with John Jones and that feeling of being the people's champ. But then as soon as he went up against Jan, it just kind of derailed and just went down from there. So I definitely have to give Ryan Spann props because that fucking shot too they landed was brutal. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, he's four straight losses. Um, I mean, Chris Weidman was his last victory. It's 2019 October. Um,
Oof.
and besides that Weidman victory, I guess you can say Jared Cannonier was another really notable victory, but that was 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Saint Pro Vince Saint Pro Brooks. I forgot how I was
Yeah, he
um
has a hard name.
Yeah, that was 229, UFC 229. So I mean,
Mhm.
the dude's been taking L's for 2 straight years. We're going on 3
Yeah.
years, and, that one was bad. That was a bad one. Um,
Mhm.
so, with that being said, I don't know if he should be I mean, what do you expect? I mean, what do we expect from him going forward? Does UFC keep booking him with these losses like this? Do we just keep letting it happen? I mean,
I think see, that's the hard part. It's like the knockout with Jan Blachowicz, he wasn't necessarily knocked out cold. It was that beatdown that eventually got him, and just that one clean strike, and then he just buckled from there. But these last two ones out cold. So I'm like
yeah, that
split. I
Jerry
want,
one was bad, and this one was bad.
yeah, it was. And that's the health risk too that I have to think about, because I don't ever want to see fighters compromise their health that much just for us to have the extra satisfaction as the viewers. But I still want him to at least like have one more fight. And if it happens again, I think he should retire.
I mean, does he just go to Bellator?
Yeah, that could happen. Because I know UFC isn't going to keep on booking it, especially for his health.
Yeah, I mean, and Ryan to me is not. He's not that guy that I think is just gonna knock you out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part about it that makes it even worse. He's not even one that I'm thinking going in is just gonna lay this dude out like that.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be a war for a good minute, and I was rooting for Dominic Reyes.
Yeah,
And that's another thing too. When you get knocked out like that, especially enough times, then that chin, it just starts to turn to glass.
yeah. It's like, yep, we've seen this before.
Hmm.
Sleepy sleep
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what though, the person that I'm so happy finally got a victory was Dan Hooker, man. Dan Hooker, he was on the same thing, just back to back losses, but then he gets the W. I was so happy for him.
Yeah, no, that was a really good fight. He needed that victory. He really needed that victory. That might have kept him around for a little bit longer. 'Cause he's another guy. Um, another dude that fought this weekend ended up losing. Sang Wu Chao. He lost to Mike Trizano.
Hmm.
Um, that's another dude that's on a three loss, uh, three fight losing streak for him. Um, that's another guy that it might be time.
Hmm. And see, that's the hard thing about this sport is that, you could be as much of a fan favorite, but after so long, after so many losses, the promotions themselves, they're not going to keep booking. And that's kind of like the down aspect of the sport. You only have so many chances before the rug gets slipped out underneath you.
Right? 'Cause like you said, it starts to become an issue. It starts to become
Hmm.
a health hazard. The longer you go on.
Yeah.
Um, another one I want to talk about was Zhang and Carla. Um, I really liked that fight.
Did you?
Um, yeah, I mean, Carla's a beast, man. Carla's a beast. That that division, there's no one in that division that is just a pushover um, towards the top. So for me for Carla to come in, snatch the belt the way she did, which I don't know about you, but I did not see that happening at all. Um,
Against Rosa Namajunas?
yes,
Yeah, that caught me by surprise. I won't lie.
and to still like just watching her walk to the ring with that belt on, I'm still like I can't believe she did that. Um, So coming out and beating Rose, and then coming out, and I was looking at this fight. Everybody was like, "Man, no, heck no, heck no." And I'm like, "Dude, I think Zane's about to come in here and whoop her." And they're like, "You're tripping." I'm like, "Dude, I like Zane." They're like, "Yeah, but Carla just beat Rose," and I'm like, "I know. That's the crazy part about this situation." So for her to come in and do it with a rear naked choke, that says a lot to me about not only Zhang but that division itself. I just it surprises me every time I watch them.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, she's an animal, dude. I saw a post that was made where she was talking about why she was smiling in the cage. She said she was smiling in the cage because she knew that Carla wasn't willing to stand up with her the same. Like she knew that her striking and her stand up was way better than Carla's, and then it ended up going to that submission. So she's an animal. The top
Really
athletes
is.
in that division, hands down, they especially got really big chip on their shoulders. They got all kinds of things to prove, and they're all hungry for that belt.
Yeah. No, and again, I mean, now what happens here? Does Carla get a rematch right away, or does Rose
Hmm.
get to come back? Um,
And then it ends up being a trilogy fight.
right. Well, shit. I mean, that's my problem with this. I mean, I think Rose deserves a chance to get her title back.
Yeah,
Um, she really does, and let's not forget she's beat Zhang twice in a row.
yeah. And so now
So
that's gonna hang over it.
right. So not only okay, I get Zhang. I love. I called it coming into this fight that you would beat Carla, but your kryptonite is due for a chance to get her title back, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna call her your kryptonite because every time you and her meet, she whoops that ass.
No pun intended.
She be whooping her ass. She be whooping that ass, man.
I
But
was still shocked
so
with that first fight that they did.
was Zhang and Rose.
Yeah, the way Rose knocked her out with that head kick, my jaw dropped. I was like, oh.
Yeah, Rose is a bad motherfucker. Rose is a
Hmm.
bad. So I mean, if you're Dana, do you let Zhang fight Rose and then Rose whoops her and then goes fights Carla, or do you let Zhang and Carla go back at it and then Rose waits for the winner of that?
Um, as far as I know, neither Zhang nor Carla have any type of medical suspensions. What I would be curious to see is maybe a rematch between Rose and Carla for the next fight against Zhang, and they can maybe pull another fight there with Zhang on the side. But I don't know. I do lean more towards having Rose get that shot back because she didn't, as far as I know, she didn't get the immediate rematch against Carla to get the belt back. And that only seems fair to begin with, since I know that whole fight too had that controversy around the whole judge decision.
Right. And that's another thing to me that I don't even know why this was scheduled with that. That was a
Hmm.
no-brainer for me to run that back. So it kind of puts them in a weird position because I don't think Rose should fight for the number one contender spot. Um, she should have already got her rematch anyways.
Right.
Um, so, but in the eyes of the UFC, this is a hard one to schedule because you put Rose back in the ring with Zhang, and we got another title change, I think. And then Zhang has three straight losses against Rose, and in
Hmm.
between those three straight losses, she only has that one win against Carla. So that really changes that division up.
Hmm.
Really
Yeah.
changes it up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's almost like at the same time, I feel it would be a bit smart to put Carla back in. So that way it's not like Zhang, she goes, she loses her title, then she comes back to fight Rose again. Then she still doesn't get the title back. Now she's got the title. It's going to go again where she fights Rose. Then it gets taken back again. And it's like, okay, how many times are we going to keep on doing this? Rinse, lather, repeat.
Right, right. Because at some point, it got to change. I mean, shit.
Hmm. Just open up new divisions. That'll be so much better. So much better. Even Joe Rogan approves.
Well, you talking about for the girls?
Yeah, even for the girls too. I know there's some fighters like Chris Cyborg. She's also been an open person to talk about just like I think about the urge for new weight classes because the cut for her, no one's ever competing at the weight that would be more comfortable for her. So she has to drop down so much just to get there.
Yeah. So before we get out of here, we'll talk a little rough 51. We did get
Hmm.
some fights announced. Bring them up here. Got some that we already knew about. A couple of new ones for us.
Hmm. Something I'm very excited about too.
So this one here is set already to be a doozy.
Hands down.
Um, you know, we already know about our thing with Patrick here. Had him on the show a few times here. Great guy. Awesome amateur fighter. One of the Lake Havasu guys out here. And after his last performance, um, yeah, amateur 205 world title shot.
Yes,
Callahan
sir.
and Bowman. Um, for those that don't follow Ruff on social media, they even got crazy in the comments section. It's gonna be a doozy. I can't wait for the weigh-ins. How do you feel about this one?
This one I'm especially excited about because if for Patrick, with the opportunity that Patrick serves here is to cement himself in Lake Havasu history. There's only been two champions ever in Lake Havasu, and only one of them was actually Lake Havasu born, which was Trenton Byers. But if Patrick gets this, he becomes the third ever MMA champion that's ever came out of Lake Havasu. So that I'm especially rooting for because, of course, I got my bias, and I know Brooks Callahan. I know he's a dominant fighter. I think what I thought was kind of interesting though was that he was competing before at 185, and he was about, I think he was a little bit shorter than me whenever I met him. So this is gonna be a size mismatch that I'm really curious about. But I know Brooks. I know he's a lethal fighter, but I'm also looking forward to the entertainment.
I'm gonna second everything that you just said. I'm gonna add that this one here is going to be a slobber knocker. Someone's gonna get knocked out. I think Pat's what, two knockouts back to back now.
Yeah,
Um, you
both
know,
first round.
both first round exits. He called the last one, guys. I don't. He's gonna say no, he didn't, but he did. He called. Um, I'm saying first round again. Saying first round again. I'm not saying who, but it's gonna be a first rounder because these two dudes are already ready to go. They're as
Yeah,
soon as the fight was announced, they were ready to go. Um,
yeah.
so they're gonna go in there. They're gonna let out some frustration. I see another first round knockout. We're gonna have a new world heavyweight champion.
Yep, exactly. So I'm excited about this one. And I hope we get to interview the both of them because that'll be pretty badass. I love to hear both their sides, what their mindset is going into this, because I mean, it's a big opportunity, regardless if you're amateur or whatever else. It's a tremendous opportunity and it's a tremendous life experience too. To not only
Right.
compete for a belt, but to actually win it.
Be considered the best at that.
Yep,
So another
exactly.
one we have here. Uh Margitas and Barcenas. Um, this is another fight I'm excited to see. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I Barcenas has been on the show before. Great guy. If you've watched the show before, you know what I've already put my cents or my 2 cents on Glenn Baker's gym before. Baker's MMA is a great gym. I love all the guys over there. Austin, Kayla, the girls as well. Um,
Mhm.
so this one here, um, Paul. I mean, I don't know. I don't know which one to go here. Enrique, Paul. I don't know which way to go. What do you think about this
This one I was split on as well because I really like the two guys. I know Paul, he has, based off his fight last time against Deshaun White, if I remember his name, he has a strong wrestling background. But I know Enrique, he's comfortable there too. He's comfortable with his wrestling. He's comfortable with his jujitsu. So this is going to be a tough matchup. What I'm curious about though is if Paul is going to be able to handle Enrique's pressure. Because that first fight that I saw Enrique fight against Caleb Encinas, he had that instant monster pressure that was just
one?
overwhelming. And if you're not able to quickly adapt to that, it could spiral out of control very quickly.
Yeah, you know, if anybody's watched it, watched Enrique fight, the one thing about him is exactly what you just described. His pressure is nonstop. It's overwhelming. Um, like you said, he's well rounded, and that's one of the biggest things that I love about watching Baker's guys fight is you never see them in an uncomfortable situation.
Hmm.
They look like they've been in those situations. They train for those situations all the time, no matter what situation they end up in. So that's one thing I really respect about that gym. The other thing is, whether it's Austin, whether it's Enrique, I forgot old boy's name that fought at 50. The energy levels they put into them is just it's amazing. And that is one of the things that in every single fight I've seen Enrique in, he takes it to his opponent. And that's one and just like you said, it's can you adapt? Can you adapt quick enough? um, for it. And if you can't do it quick enough, you may not see a second.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's why, like, when Enrique and Devin Ray fought, that's why I was nervous because I know Devin Ray, he's an absolute animal. But at the same time, I know Enrique is an animal and that pressure. And that's what we're especially wanting to see. And this one, if I remember correctly, last time Enrique fought was against Devin, and he fought at 155. And if I understand correctly, his very first fight was also at 145. So that means that his last fight, Enrique fought above a weight class that he normally competes at. So
Right,
that also makes me especially curious because he even put Devin Ray in a couple of bad positions for a second, and he
right.
fought in a higher weight class. What do you think he's going to be at the weight class that he's used to competing at?
And let's be honest, Devon's wrestling is impeccable. Um,
Hmm.
it's next to none, and I think that's one thing that was kind of overwhelming for Enrique in that last fight was that wrestling, and then you add in the fact that he's moving up in weight, and fighting the guy that's used to slamming guys bigger around the octagon than Enrique is. So there was a lot of different aspects in that fight that kind of changed it up for Enrique. I'm
Hmm.
really excited about this one. Like you said, Paul's a beast, Enrique's a beast. We got two beasts meeting in the octagon, and typically when that happens, fireworks and fight of the night type of things happen. So I'm excited.
Yes, sir.
I'm excited
We have
about
to see
that.
if we could get some type of stream in when we're over there again at the event.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be seeing about that. Cerna and Neil. Tell me what you know about Cerna. This is a catchweight 175 bout. Um, so this is another one that was just announced.
Hmm.
I haven't seen Cerna. I have seen Neil fight once. Neil's a great fighter as well. I don't know too much about Cerna.
Yeah, see, I don't know too much about these guys either. The dude on the left, I'm horrible with names, so I'm mixing them up. But the dude on the left with the tattoo, I swear to God, he looks so familiar. I've seen him somewhere. But this one, just like looking right off the bat, I'm I don't know. I'm 50-50 because not knowing too much about them and it being a catchweight means that negotiations changed a bit on the weight class. So somebody maybe perhaps I don't want to do full speculation or accusations or anything like that, but maybe somebody was having a bit difficulty with the weight cut, so they decided to change the weight up a bit. I don't know. I don't really know too much on this one.
I don't know too much about this one. I believe I've seen Cerna around the last couple UFC or roughs. Um, I forgot what Jimmy fights out of. Neil, I know for sure. I watched him fight before. Neil's a good fighter. Um, he has decent stand up. I just don't know
Okay.
not much about Cerna.
Yeah. Yeah, but hey, we're gonna find out December 10th what's about them.
We are going to find out.
Yeah, we're gonna do
You
some
guys don't know
research
nothing about
too.
that fuego. Yeah,
Domingo en fuego.
fuego. Let's see what else we got here. Suniga
This one,
versus
yeah.
Finbrace. This is another 210-pound. This is another catch weight bout.
See, I think that's weird. The fact that's a 210 bout. I've never heard of a catch weight at that.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about that one, honestly. You got me there too. I don't know what to
Yeah.
say about that one.
You know what I'm thinking as just like a little poll with that, just add a little dialogue with is that considering that's just 5 pounds above the light heavyweight weight class, I wonder if they may try to pull something where the victor of that fight will challenge whoever wins between Patrick and Brooks.
It's not a bad thought process on that. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm
What other
hoping
light
there's one
heavyweight
more.
fights have you seen?
There haven't been many. I mean,
Yeah.
there was one canceled recently. Um, but yeah, there haven't been many.
Yeah. And then what were you gonna say?
Um, I'm hoping we haven't heard yet, but I'm hoping there's one more title bite on this bout on this mat on this card.
Ooh. Ooh. Are we gonna have two title fights on this possibly? That
You know
would
who I'm
be
talking
that
about.
would be epic. I think I do. I think I got an idea, but we can't
He's not
spoil it.
suspended. Yeah, he's not suspended. There's no. I don't think he has any health suspensions on this. So, hmm, can we see a
Saucy.
Christmas present?
Ooh, it's a wonderful time this year. Dude, Ruff, I gotta give it to Ruff. They know how to put on a show, and you could tell the energy that they've kicked up this year, especially like back in May, coming all the way to a close in December. They've
Right.
just been tripling on top of their momentum, and it's just crazy what they're putting together.
Yeah. No. I jumped on board in October of last year. That was the first card I attended and covered, and literally ever since that card, it's just been they've been just blazing through. Um, you know, every card I've been to after that has gotten bigger. The audience has gotten bigger every time. Um, the it's just Rough is great. I love what they're doing. I love the community that Rough brings together because
Mm-hmm.
we talk about it a lot, and anyone that's followed our show and seen the guys that we've had on here, we do a little bit of hand picking right now, because we're so new in the game with getting the Rough fighters in here, so it's easy to
Mm-hmm.
kind of be picky and choosy because we got a lot of guys to choose from. But honestly, there hasn't been a guy yet that I don't want to interview. There hasn't been a guy yet that I
Right?
don't like their character. There hasn't been a guy yet that has turned me off in any sort of way. Um, you know, they're just stand-up guys. I mean, look at Benavidez when we got him on here, as young as he is, and how long he's been coaching kids. And
Mm-hmm.
we talked to Ponce, Abdul. He's a wonderful father outside of all this. He's a fabulous father. There's so many just different things, and that Ruff is brought together in this community is beautiful.
Yeah, hands down. And Arizona, we got a different element in this sport. I definitely have to say, because of the kind of fighters that we have out here. And then it's on top of it, just the sport of MMA in general is just like you say, they're hands down some of the most chillest, most respected people that I know.
Very.
Calmest, most humblest. It's hard to find a guy in the sport that you truly don't like. You can't help but to like and have some sort of respect for all these fighters.
Yes. Where can you find these fighters? Damien, I will send you a link personally. Okay. Actually, if you go to roughnation.com, Damien, you can find all the stuff there. And then I'll
Mhm.
send you a pay-per-view link for the next one. I'll make sure to get that out to you so that you can get that. And then you'll know who we're talking about.
Mhm.
Then you can
Exactly.
start
You know what,
chiming in.
Damien? Just come up in person. Come to the show. Everybody else, come on. You guys show up at the Celebrity Theater. Show support for your boys in Arizona.
Right, right. Come on down, Damien. We'll make sure to take care of you. And it's
Hmm.
not hot, so you'll be all right.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice and cold.
Right. But outside of that, um, any last words before we get out of here tonight?
Um, another great episode. Another great episode. I'm excited for next week as well. Also, announcement for you guys tomorrow, same time at 8 p.m. Wednesday. I am gonna steal James from Throwing Hands. We're gonna bring him on Josh Said What. So we're gonna do a little live show on that too. That will be my second live show ever. And then I also have another episode that if it actually uploads in time, hopefully by the end of this week, it's with this MMA gym owner out in Sydney, Australia. His name is Liam McClenahan. I'll be having an episode come out with him sometime later this week too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you haven't checked my co-host show out, go check out Josh Said What. He interviews a lot of guys, you know, around the business, MMA world, other stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things going on over there too. Make sure you check it out. See why he's over here with us. We had to go get him. I was like, that guy right there. Josh Said What? Yeah, going down on the stepping on my damn ear hit, my earphones. It's like tugging on my earlobes while I'm sitting there trying to talk. I'm like, what the hell is tugging on me? Fuck?
Exactly.
Yeah. Outside of that, you know, guys, we appreciate the support. Share us out, tell a friend, tell a family member, watch us. If they don't like MMA, that's fine. Watch another show on ASAP Sports. We got so many, great guys on the network. So many different great shows. We have an all-female show. If anybody wants to see that, we do have our afternoon show hosted by Chris Gonzalez. Our morning show hosted by Craig and Ray. There's just a lot of stuff here for you guys. Some new news. We will be airing the MLIS this season. So the Major League Indoor Soccer League will be exclusively right here on ASAP Network. And then, of course, remember, we are partnered with the AAL. So keep a lookout for them as we air their games on our network this spring. Other than that, I will see you tomorrow on Josh Said What? And then right
Yes,
back
sir.
here next week, Tuesday, for another episode of Throwing Hands. But until
Yes,
then,
sir.
guys, stay safe. We'll see you then.
Peace.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole
Rebel soul child got a fist balled, I'm a respawn of ancestors, and I'm blessed, They are not him, tell him fess up, I get check stub, hella carefree, nothing scares me, hella reckless, yeah, I got next up, right, no we're not the same, cause see when I look in your iris, you likely to talk but not ready to ride, you do better keeping it quiet, my pen is ignited, my my soul is enlightened. I like who I am, but I'm biased. The palette is right, and my drip is a fountain. I'm not like these regular guys. All of that talk is misguided. She like the way I make the tape print, but the way I make the words play is grim. I'm the reaper reaching for the kill switch. The label cut the check like the blazement. Something sparking where his brain is. The beat is somewhere where their prayers in.